guys. Welcome to HonesTea On Demand. I am your girl, Sibrena Stowe-Geraldino, and you are watching the number one hip hop podcast, Spilling Tea, speaking all things truth, number one show in history. And I'm here with my homeboy and colleague and co-host, Kojo Bentil. Hey, Kojo.
Hey, Simon, just drinking some tea. Talk to me.
You already sipping that tea, Kojo. Yes. Kojo, I am so excited. We've been starting this podcast off with a little bang. We have one episode already popping, and now we're about to go into this is episode 2, but it's all about you, boo.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So you're expecting me to spill some tea, huh? All right, let's go.
I'm expecting you to spill that tea. Don't be acting all afraid and acting like it's too hot. I like it hot, but I like for you to keep going so I can sit.
I got it. You got it. Let's go.
Let's go. What do you mean, let's go? Where do you want to take our guests? What do you want to tell them? Like, what are we here for? Please do it.
Listen, Ty. You said it yourself. Honest tea. So it's going to be the truth, right?
Yes. Only the truth, right?
Only. Yes, ma'am.
You know, we are truth speakers and truth spillers. So
yes, ma'am.
I want to talk about Kojo Bentil, Mr. Emmanuel Kojo Bentil, former music exec and entertainment attorney, and now consultant. He is with us. He is about to give us the 411 on all things behind the scenes of his life at Kedar Entertainment, Motown, Universal. Like, you've did it all, but we're going to start off small. Not too small, but humble. I know you're from the motherland. Give me a little quickie about how did you get to America? And did you actually living the American dream? This is great. Tell me how your beginnings started.
Well, I'll tell you. I'm not sure if it's the American dream, but my family came here in 1971 as I was a little pup. We came from Ghana, West Africa, and my dad came here to work directly for the United Nations in a program called the Developmental Programs, where he was, as he described it, he was an international civil servant.
Okay, I like that.
And
so
we moved
with privilege.
I don't know about that, but yeah, we lived a fairly good life. We lived in Westchester, which is a suburb of New York City, as many of you know. We lived in a small town, initially a small town called Larchmont, and then we moved to a bigger city in also Westchester called White Plains, and that's pretty much where I did my growing up, in White Plains, New York.
Nice. Well, I know you're a New Yorker, so I actually want to explain to people how I know you.
Yes.
So that we can talk about your career in the music industry. So I met you in 1997, and I was trying to get in the media buys. I wanted to do your publicity. You guys didn't need that. And then I wanted to do advertising. But how I actually met you is I used to work at Power 99 in Philadelphia. I interned, I should say. So I interned at Power, and I met all these guys in the entertainment industry, relocated to New York, got into advertising, and I was like, I got to get in the entertainment industry. I ain't do all this ballet, tap, jazz for nothing. So you were my first start. So this is why I always look to you for anything that I want to know about entertainment or entertainment law, or you've always been a great guy. You've always been honest. You've always been transparent. You've never pushed up on me. You've been that kind of brother guy that any girl in the music industry could go to, and you would be able to help us navigate whatever we needed. So I want to thank you for that, because that is not common in the entertainment industry. You have no
absolutely, sis.
Yeah, you have no like sexual harassment cases. Nobody could ever say that about you. And that's a big deal. You are a real good dude. So Kojo's that good dude. He gave me a start after I bribed his secretary for like 2 years. Homegirl was trying to extort me, but that's a whole nother piece of tea that we're going to spill another time.
Yeah, that's definitely another one, because You schooled me on something. I did not know she was doing that. I would have tried to take a piece of that.
Oh, no, you wouldn't. You would have fired her. That's why you didn't know
Yes.
about it, right? Because you always
Yes, I would have fired her and then extorted that money back.
don't pay me if you want to keep your job. Yeah. Um,
Yes.
but so you were working with, I can't say for, when I met you, you were like a VP of Kedar Entertainment, I believe, in 1996. Is
Hmm.
that correct? You guys
Yes.
started off much sooner, but you were the
Yes, ma'am.
first guy that gave me that opportunity. And I remember going in, you guys were in Universal Records. I would go upstairs, past the security, go upstairs. The receptionist will let me in. We go through these doors. We make a right. You're right down this hallway.
Hmm. Yes.
So I remember that location. That was like my go-to stop. How did you get to that desk? Like, I know Kedar Massenberg personally. I don't know how you worked all these years with him, but you are a saint and you did it. How did it begin? Take me to college. Take me to meeting him in college, and then the first artist that you actually worked with him with.
All right. So, just a slight correction. We didn't meet in college. We met in law school, and that
Oh,
was at the University of North Carolina in Chapel Hill. I had already finished my first year when I met him. He came in a year behind me, and he came in with the first years for that year, which was in 1981. I'm sorry, 1986 or 87, I believe. I can't remember right now, but I'll pull it up. And the the first years from that year came in, and I was like, let me see what this class is like. And I saw a brother who looked more familiar to me because everybody else was coming in from North Carolina. Most people were coming from North Carolina because it was a state school. And I saw a brother with a big Africa medallion. You remember those leather Africa medallions we all had back in the 90s
I
and,
didn't
and
have that
80s?
shit. Mm-mm, y'all did, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And it's leather and big. And I
Mhm.
looked at it, I said, all right, bro, you must from New York, maybe directly from Brooklyn. And he was taken aback. He stopped, talked to me. He said, "Yeah, I'm from Brooklyn. What you want to do? I'm here to study law so I can get into the music business, and this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to run a company, have some artists, and make a lot of money." I was like, "Wow, okay,
Yeah,
that sounds like a great thing."
yeah.
And he asked me, "What are you doing? What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm studying to end up practicing law at one of the big New York City firms, and I will be there. I just need to finish my time here and get there." And
And
he
did you
said,
get there?
"Wow, okay,
Did you get
huh?
there?
Of course I did."
So both of
But
you were determined. You guys came in, you had an idea of where you wanted to be. You set your goals and then you went right for it. You didn't wait, work somewhere else for a year and then try something else out. You guys both just went straight for it.
I was very, very focused because before I ended up in law school, right after undergrad, I worked as a quote unquote paralegal for one of the biggest New York firms. Um, Several hundred lawyers, um, almost all of them white. And I
Mhm.
said, I'm gonna break into this and be a superstar in this because I knew the type of money they were making, and it was out of this world. And this was it. This especially back then when I worked for that, it was in the '90s, late '90s, and it was what they used to call the go-go '90s. A lot of people used to make tons of money as young people coming out of law school and young people coming out of undergrad.
Hold it, hold it. What the heck is the go-go era? Like, how did it get that? Were y'all going to strip
I
clubs? Like, what? The go-go era?
um let me tell you, I don't know the inside, but because I was still an outsider. I was a little young paralegal, like 20 something years old, maybe 21, 22 years old out of undergrad. And but I saw that the folks who were already lawyers, who were maybe 25, 26 out of law school,
Mhm.
their first real jobs, they were coming out for those law firms, those big law firms, maybe making 75, $80,000 as first year lawyers. And
Okay,
I
that's
said,
what's good.
back in those days, that was a lot of money,
Yeah, that was
you
good.
know. And I said, well, I need to see some of that because I was a paralegal making maybe 25 grand.
So
And
so you that spring segued into working. Like, how did you link up with Kedar?
so that's what I said when I went to law school. I told him what I wanted to do. I
Right,
said to him, I'm going to end up as one of those lawyers making that kind of money,
right.
and for a big firm, etc. And so that's what I told he because he asked me, "What are you here for? What am I here in law school for?" And I told him that.
Yeah, you
And
said that a few times. I'm trying to get past that. So
okay,
once you got into that job, how did you and Kadar actually link and start working together? What year was that, and
okay.
how did he approach you?
So I was working that. I ended up working for a law firm that was right at Rockefeller Plaza, and Kedar was working in New York City, whether it was Brooklyn or in the city. He was always in the city, and so we would link up maybe once or twice a week for lunch in Rockefeller Plaza because he would come to my where I was, and we started talking, and as we started, as friends, just know guys knowing each other from law school. But then the conversation got more serious about what he was doing. He was working with artists. He was at that time managing Stetsasonic, Nonchalant, Nonchalant. I'm sorry, um, Angie Stone, her band. I remember the name of their but he started talking about he's going to start a label, and he wanted me to come work with him. And at that time, I was working at my law firm, and I think I did very well. And I felt like perhaps I want to stay there and become a partner, and start really making money, have equity, etc. But Kedar is very, very convincing. He's a great salesman, and he made it very, very appealing for me to come work with him as his number two.
So your number two, did you leave the law firm, and did you get equity? You're building a foundation together, or was it you're coming to work for an artist manager? You're going to do the legal work. You're going to get paid as you go. You're not quite in yet with him in the office. I'm trying to figure out what were you guys, how'd you work that
Well,
out?
this is how it occurred, Sai. So I was about 5 or 6 years in, and I was at a point in my career with the law firm where I could stay and try to become a partner or go and do my own thing, because I had enough credibility in myself as a lawyer that if I decided to leave and go to another firm or go to and actually, to be very, very transparent, I was interviewing with several big companies. Some of them had been former clients of my law firm. Some
Mm.
of them were, competitors of those clients. And I had an offer with a very large pharmaceutical company based in North Carolina,
Who?
and
Who was the pharmaceutical? I mean, listen, if
it
we're
was
honest,
it was
what do we care? It's 20 zillion.
Honest Tea. It was a company called Glaxo Wellcome.
I know them very
Yeah.
well. That would have been a nice little gig.
Absolutely, and the appeal was really, really, really great for me because they down in North Carolina was a big um, golf course, which I loved, and I was like, all right, this is great. I'd have a 9 to 5 job, get off at 5 o'clock, go play some evening golf, et cetera, et cetera. I was really, really excited
Imagine
about
if
that,
you did
but
that. That was the
as
most.
I said.
You were 20 something years old wanting to do that.
Yeah, well, shit. Let me tell you something. The money was so damn good. I was like, I'm cool. I'm
Let me
good.
go
This is
down
gonna be
south and
great.
make this 75 grand, because back then that was like a buck 20, a buck 30 right now. It would have been like,
Listen, let me tell you something. Back then, the 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 offer I got was probably, what year was it?
I don't know.
Let's see, 5 years after I graduated. So it was like 1995, 1996 was when they were talking to me. And the money they were talking was significantly more than 75 grand.
Right.
But at the end of the day, as I said, Kido is a great salesman. And
And how much did you he counter? Let's get to that part. Give me the ballpark. You don't got to say the exact number. What was the
listen,
counter? Were you like a
no, but
25K?
it was, I mean, um, it was probably just about the same, but the quality of life and staying in New York and being around what I knew, as opposed to moving all the way down to um Research Triangle Park, North Carolina, all over again and starting over, meeting people, etc., like that. Even though it was a very, very appealing situation, I said, you know what, I'd rather stay here in New York. And the way Kedar sold it to me was that he was going to start this company. We're going to win. We're going to have all kinds of great fun. We're going to end up doing our Christmases in the Caribbean or somewhere sexy, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it just sounded really appealing and you're right. I was maybe in my late 20s, mid 20s, and I didn't feel like I wanted to be in Research Triangle Park at that time.
Did he give you all of that? Did you get St. Bart trips? Did you, okay, beside when you were making money, were you guys maneuvering like the typical industry family lifestyle where everybody goes on vacation together, the wives hang out and dine together? Did you have that relationship?
Well, let me say this. When we started, I was married. I already had a wife, and we were then talking about starting a family. He was a single man, and he lived like a single man, had a great apartment, um friends, etc. So we did things together.
Right.
um and my then wife was part of the hangouts. We always did industry things, industry parties, industry events. We went to Grammys together, etc. Um, and it was a fantastic time. A
Good.
fantastic time.
So were
Um,
you guys like brothers, or were you like the big brother, or perhaps you were just friends, best friends, or
no, we were more best friends, and that's
Mhm.
how we used to say. But ultimately, just to be very, very clear, he was my boss because he was the
Right.
CEO of the company, and he used to go out. He also was
What was the company
he had a
name?
very, 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 it was Kedar Entertainment. So it
Okay.
was his company, because he started it was the company he had started as a management company, and then a small label, when we first. He's the one who went and got the deal with um, a gentleman named Daniel Glass, who was working with Doug Morris, who was the chairman and CEO of what became Universal Music Group.
Hmm. Yeah,
All
because I
right. But at the very, very beginning, at the very beginning in 96, 95, 96, when we started, it was a small independent record label called Rising Tide, which was what Doug Morris had started. And
wait,
Rising Tide.
wait a minute.
Mhm.
You guys were Kedar Entertainment was at Rising Tide, or did you change the name? Like, I'm confused.
No, Kedar Entertainment was part of Rising Tide. We were the sort of the black unit of Rising Tide.
Got you.
And when we started, the first artist that Kedar at that time was also managing D'Angelo.
So
And
he had D'Angelo. He was managing Erykah Badu. I'm sorry, Angie
no,
Stone,
we didn't have, yes,
Stetsa
Angie
Sonic.
Stone, um, yep, and Nonchalant.
Okay, so you had those artists. You had those four. Who was released under Kedar Entertainment for? Rising Tide imprint? Who released
So,
their music?
Rising Tide eventually became universal. Um, I believe before we released Erykah Badu, but you know, Erykah Badu was the first artist we released. And he also signed a kid, a 16-year-old kid named I'm sorry,
A plus.
13-year-old kid named A plus. Yes. So it was A
Yeah,
plus
but
and
we're not at
Erica
that
that were
year
released.
right now. Wait a minute. We got to stay on track. I don't want to go too far ahead because I'm not even at.
We actually not okay. So if we're not at Erica Badu or A plus yet, then we're yeah
I'm trying to still
still
understand.
just finishing. Um,
Huh? No, I was trying to
Go
get.
ahead. What you say? You
I
just
was
want
trying
to
to get the answer to. Right, you said that Rising Sun became Universal.
Rising Tide.
Rising Tide became Universal Records, or did Universal buy Rising Tide? Because it sounds like this Doug Morris imprint became a Seagram mega house, Universal Records, or is it the opposite? They swallowed up Rising Tide.
Yes. So all right, I wasn't trying to get so detailed because it is pretty detailed how that worked. But let me put it out here and share it with you. So, um, Doug Morris had Rising Tide as his own imprint, um, and eventually Rising Tide. I don't know what the actual deal was that Doug Morris did, but he ended up doing business with Edgar Bronfman, and
Mm.
and Rising Tide then became Doug Morris's label under Edgar Bronfman, and it became first MCA Music Group, and then after MCA Music, there was that for maybe I don't know a few months, and then it became Universal Music Group because Edgar Bronfman also somehow acquired the rights to Universal, and the way it went is he felt it was much more significant of a brand than MCA. And
Right.
so MCA became Universal Music Entertainment Group.
Gotcha. Now, see, the reason why that's an important piece of history, because a lot of people in the entertainment industry, the newbies, they need to know a little bit about the history, who they're dealing with, who they've been, who are
Yes.
the players of the game. Period. And I never heard of Rising Tide. Like you're dropping,
Yeah.
definitely, you're dropping a little tea. You're dropping some crumbs in my little. Let me get a sip.
Yes.
So how
And
about this? What? How about what?
no, I
What
was going to say to you, Rising Tide was definitely an important. May not have been a big name, but it was important because of the players that were involved. Doug Morris, his partner Mel Winter, and Daniel Glass, and
mm,
they all were the ones who sort of hotboxed and brought Kedar into the game.
let me look. Let me digest this. Let me take another sip. Hang tight.